heart if you show me yours. Okay.
You know we've never worked on an intro?
Oh
Never.
yeah, I know.
Painfully aware. You think they know that we've never worked on an intro?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hate to break
You think
it
it
to
shows?
you. I think that it's part of our authentic charm.
That's what we're telling
And
ourselves.
do not disagree in the comments.
That's what we're telling ourselves. That's how we comfort ourselves
That's
at
how
night.
we get by. With a little help from my friends.
So I do want to repeat a little of what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Which is, have you ever, as a couple, flirted with somebody without entertaining the idea of if they reciprocate, perhaps you guys have a hangout?
Usually no, but because usually that person is off-putting to begin with. Like, you know.
Then okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay. So for example, Will and I mean, especially before the end times, quote unquote.
what are the end times?
I mean,
is that what you're calling your marriage? What does it mean?
No. I guess I meant more when we were like in the improv community and could like go out and like see human
before the
contact.
pandemic. I see.
Before the pandemic.
The end times.
The end times.
Amazing.
There were like 3 or 4 people that they're at a party. We're like, okay, great. They're gonna come over here and say something uncomfortable.
So they started it with you.
Yes.
I see.
And so, so that is the situation where no, we can't reciprocate because we might give them the grain of the wrong idea.
Right, because if you put it in the world, then
they would pounce.
But anyone when you put it in the world considers, are you serious about it?
Sure.
Nobody,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
I think.
I wouldn't even, I would never do that if I was like single and someone, like flirting for the fun of it. I understand, but I don't like.
Is it too mean?
No, not that it's too mean. It's that it'll just lead to a situation where I'm eventually gonna have to be like, just kidding.
And then that's a bad day. Yeah, you don't want that.
And I, because I know where it's heading, it's like, a train down a tunnel where it's like, well, I'm not even going to go down that tunnel. I'm going to shut this down.
Yeah, which is mildly responsible,
Sure. It's more self-preservation, though. I don't want to pretend I'm some sort of...
those things go together a little bit, though. Like,
okay.
I think,
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, I think sometimes it's easy to not be self-preserving because it's fun along the way, sort of thing.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
I'm just curious about this because I've realized I have some friendships that survive only because I'm interested in flirting with them.
Right. Yeah, we did talk about this earlier. Yeah.
And so I'm like, so am I a monster? Like, is that like, like I've been, I mean, not deeply questioning this, but like, just sort of if there wasn't flirtation, I would drop this relationship,
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, like, are they tolerating that because they want the friendship? Like, I feel like I've been in situations where they tolerate my flirtation a little bit because they want the friendship enough. And I'm like, is that a thing that people do?
Maybe. Although I think most people enjoy the flirtation.
Like they enjoy it enough to let it go on.
There is also a like knowing that it won't be a thing. It sometimes gives permission for the flirtation, whereas we would never do that with someone we know.
That's interesting.
But if we go to a strip club together,
when they're not a real person.
Yeah,
exactly.
Or it's like we're real people, but we're paying for this interaction. With
the stripper. I see.
Right. So like,
I would never imagine hitting on a stripper.
Right,
There's just no way I would do that.
Right. But I mean, just like the flirtation of it, it's fun to do because we know that
that makes sense.
Yeah, we're going to leave in an hour.
I wouldn't because I'm like, there's just no way to do this.
Yeah. I will say being a woman in a strip club is one of the
like
coolest
a gift from heaven.
Yes. Yes. And it's something that not everyone can experience, and that is sad.
I can't.
Yeah.
I know. You tread places that I dare not dream, Maggie, many times.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But also say that is so much like cover and like safe space or like being it's like such a safe place to flirt, if that makes sense.
We're gonna return to this today. By the way, I just thought it was appropriate to bring it up top. If anyone would like to know another place that Maggie has been that I dare not dream, it's the Splits. I saw her doing just now between podcast recordings.
Yeah,
You're almost getting there.
Yeah.
How are you doing it now?
This has been my quarantine
Dream.
My quarantine dream, yeah basically. Adam, you know this. I gain muscle really easily. As I have painfully easily.
Aware.
It's just something that I naturally do, and it's really easy for me. Which
your brags are so good. Maggie drops brags all the time. You guys need to watch this. It's my favorite thing.
I do. I need to have. Yeah, because it's also true. I'm just telling the truth.
I know.
Yeah.
Bragging about a lie is stupid.
I know.
Bragging about the truth is bragging.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
But all to say, the flip side of that is that I have never been flexible, like ever in my life.
You've been
my muscles are very tight.
A real canoe.
Very like, they grow really quickly, but they are not, can't spread out very far.
Yeah.
And my body's always been that way. So I was like,
you don't do yoga?
No, I never got into yoga.
Really? I feel like you'd like it, no?
I like it now.
Okay.
But I did, especially growing up. And, I was in all the sports and I would just go as fast as I could through stretching. Yeah,
Of course, stretching sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
We used to have to do it at football and it was
sucks.
like,
I know, it's the
step to the
least
right and
fun
move.
part. Yeah, it's like, okay.
We always did it in a military way in football. Which made it worse, really.
Or like leg swings.
Step to the left and move.
Right. It's not about your body. It's about agility.
Being a team.
Yeah.
We used to have to carry a dude up a hill.
Oh, ew.
Yeah, like I had to carry a gentleman, wonderful human being.
Yeah.
But a bigger gentleman, like my size now maybe, up a hill that was, let's say, a 45-degree angle. Let's say something like that.
I'd quit. The worst we had to do is we would run up dunes, but and it's hard to do, but that's not carrying someone on your back.
It was brutal. This
that
was like
sounds awful.
This is like a quarter-mile hill, I want to say.
That sounds awful.
It was horrible. It was during Hell Week. It was awful.
Oh my God, I hated
I took
Hell
over.
Week.
I apologize.
No, we were together.
We were stretching.
Yeah, we were stretching to think of that.
Getting ready for the podcast.
Stretching was for talking. That's what I always thought. Talking before practice.
Beautiful. Well, I think in the interest of being good podcasters, let's do a brief. How have you been?
Yeah.
Just brief.
Yeah.
Anything cool going on?
Cool going on. Because I've been on a YouTube break, I've gotten to work on just a lot of personal fun, really creative projects.
Creative? Like what?
To me, prepping for the short film is so fun. I could spend hours and hours doing it. Hours.
I like that. Are you watching reference films?
Watching reference films. I'm, storyboarding. Even just researching techniques because we want to do a couple fun. It's a horror comedy, so there are a lot of fun things to play with. Especially the way things look.
Yeah.
That's just so fun for me. I could do that. I do I go into, hyper focus. Time has no meaning.
That's very
researching forever and ever and ever, trying to find where I can get mannequins for a reasonable price. So if you have any ideas,
I have to think about that.
I have many tiers of options.
I feel like there's a version of when do you throw out your mannequins, Walmart?
I know.
And just get them.
Reddit has said, just kind of snoop around malls that are closing.
On discarded mannequins, the Reddit thread. Yeah. Oh my God.
A little bit of that. So,
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So doing that, Will finished a feature.
Oh,
that
screenplay?
Is beautiful. Yes.
Oh, cool.
Wonderful. Fun. It's for kids, which is, Will. And I think at first glance, you'd never be oh, Will should write something for kids.
I've learned not to take first glances as a fact about people.
Really? Oh, because someone calls you looks like a Viking.
That's not what they said, actually.
That was the nice version.
That was the nice version.
Yes.
What they said is, and I guess we're going to hear this on 2 podcasts now.
There you go.
They said I looked like a white supremacist.
That is so funny.
I'm only laughing because they're a good friend, and it was a good joke.
It is a good joke.
But I'm going to kill them.
Yeah. But his life is over. But similarly in that vein, you look at, Will, and it's they're very serious person, which they are.
I don't know. He's got kind of a nice face.
That's
They've
true.
got kind of a sweet face.
Yeah. They're approachable.
He's got a they got a warm,
Yeah.
kisser.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I'm biased.
I bet you know. Yeah, I bet you know.
Like, well, I think so.
I'm just, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
some people seem like they're welcoming you to them, and some people seem like they're pushing you away. Like, he's more on the first end.
Yeah.
They are more on the first end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Okay. That's great.
So good.
That's cool.
So
what a cool idea.
I mean, that was like a joy to read. It was like, oh my God. Because also, reading your partner's things is always, we happen to always like each other's things, but we want to give each other the best I
mean, you guys have always been a team. And so
Absolutely.
a team, even to the point of being lovingly blind for the other.
Absolutely.
You guys are at that point, and who am I to disagree?
What do you
it's great.
think?
Nothing. I just think it's cute.
Yeah.
I think you guys are cute.
Yeah.
When he described you as a happy elf at your wedding, the face you're doing now is perfect.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was like, this man understands this woman.
Well,
it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was really good. So it was fun.
Thank you for asking how I'm doing. I'm doing fine.
How you doing?
I have not replaced a single plant except for one, Maggie, if you noticed.
I love it. It's a little bush.
Yeah, it's fake. It's a fake plant.
I love fake plants.
Me too, because I realized this is a hopeless.
Yeah.
This is a hopeless endeavor.
Yeah.
It's bad in here.
Yeah.
Plants are dying left and right.
Yeah.
Let's fix the country here. Let's get new plants.
Have you tried a cactus? Have we done this? Have you had a cactus?
I just don't like them that much.
Yeah. I actually hated cacti. They've grown on me since moving to California. I still don't love them. I have when I was like 6 years old, not to hijack you, but I was in a like the Walmart nursery, and I was 4 or 5 or whatever. I was like, oh, what a beautiful plant. I put my hands around a cactus and I pulled them away, and there were invisible shards all over my hands. And I immediately started crying. And my mom was like, oh no. And I have a memory of the lady like trying to pull them out of my hands. So since that day,
That's bad news.
Did not like cacti.
If I had my dream foliage in a home, it would be somewhere between Last of Us.
Yeah.
And like
Jurassic Park.
Yeah, like I really would like an ivy wall. Like it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I've seen like swanky houses that have like living walls, and it's like that seems so cool.
Yes.
I would love that. I don't want to have to take care of it because I'll kill them immediately.
Yeah.
So Mike and I are about done with the draft.
Yes.
Of
Which
our
I know nothing
horror
about
comedy.
This.
There's a Maggie-sized part in there, I think. Maybe at least we can talk about it. Yeah. That's Maggie ate that part out. I think that's what happened.
I did. I mean, I love horror comedy.
Yeah,
it's very freeing.
There's a couple parts that we could talk about.
Oh, great.
Because we're gonna. You know.
You guys,
I don't want to tell you the premise yet.
Yeah,
but
don't tell me.
It's it's weird.
Good.
It's good and it's weird.
Good.
It's currently called May the Best Man Win.
Oh, I love it already.
Yeah, it used to be called Sklarmageddon, but we thought that was not accessible
enough. I like
enough.
the second one. Yeah, it's very like.
May the Best Man Win is the title of it currently.
That's good.
We'll see. We'll see.
The way that you balance out our like. I don't want to paint them all with a brush, but our comedy bro friends, I feel like you're always a very good when you team up together.
I have enjoyed the collaborations I've had with the guys I worked with at Cracked.
Yeah.
All of them, from even the podcast ones with like working with Abe, I love working with Abe.
Yeah.
And of course, Mike and I have done lots of cool stuff together. And Cody and I wrote that show that we still have hopes for. And
I still have hopes for. I watched. We could talk about this later.
Severance.
But I watched Severance, and
that broke my heart.
Like yours. Molted so much better.
I've heard great things about Severance, and I don't need to shit on Severance. Okay, you don't like it. Interesting. No, I've heard amazing things about it.
I like it, but if I'm comparing the two, what do I want to watch? Oh my God, I would so much rather watch. Yeah.
Well, we're not done with that yet. Also, he and I are working on a newish idea.
Good.
That I kind of like, but we're having a hard time finding time to meet. But we will.
That's fine. Yeah.
So all that's happening.
Yeah.
Great students.
Yeah.
Video game podcasts are happening.
Yeah, so you're playing video
Secret Maggie podcasts are maybe happening.
Yeah.
You know the look I'm giving you? Maybe a secret podcast.
Oh,
you know the
you guys are hearing it here first.
You're not really hearing it because it's not really a thing yet.
No.
But we're looking at it. But I'm pitching it at Maggie with my eyes right now.
All ideas start.
On a podcast already. Every idea for a podcast begins on a podcast. It's like idea inception. Okay, we've done enough of this.
Yeah.
Let's do
do that.
So, on these episodes, I decided for the public-facing ones, we're not going to always thank the producers.
Okay,
I want to
think
do
that's fair.
some that are a little more contained.
They get a lot of perks.
Yes.
You know, not to brag, but
I want to encourage the producers who are part of our team to feel special on the bonus episodes that we create just for them.
Yeah.
And those of you who are not yet part of our producing team, but hearing this podcast for the first time, join the team. We got a great team. You know
We
some of the people on this team?
Huh.
Adam and Jello's on this team. I'm just saying.
Jello.
He's on the team.
Hello.
Great
Yes.
team. King Donna on the team.
On the team.
You love King Donna.
Yeah.
She's not actually King, but it's a good, great member of the team.
I do love
You
him.
could be part of that team.
Yeah.
So feel free to drop into our I'll show you mine if you show me yours producer tier. You'll see that on the Patreon. It's
we're right
$10.
there.
We have so many benefits.
Yeah.
Feel free to join and discover them
Yes,
all.
including picking and voting on the topics.
Which is what this is today.
I know.
This was
really
a user-selected topic
and
that
a
we
really
elected.
great topic. This was good.
What's great about it is how are we going to define this topic?
I am, not to get ahead, but I am fascinated by your pick.
Okay, me too. Me too about yours.
Okay.
For reasons that I think is going to come up immediately.
All right.
I do want to say we almost did solo movie.
We did.
We might still do it.
I think it's still fun.
it's still
a
fun.
fun idea.
One thing I like about that one is the movies we both picked
I know.
are bananas.
Bananas.
Yeah.
Bananas.
Really bananas.
What did I pick again? I know what you
Bend
picked.
It Like Beckham.
Yeah.
I was like, how is that a solo movie? What is that?
How was that not a solo
Okay,
movie?
great. The one
I
picked.
understand why yours is a solo movie.
I picked Eyes Wide Shut, so
Yeah.
we might do that. We'll
Yeah.
see. That's possible. We might still do
Although
that episode.
that is also, now that I think about it, a weird pick for a solo movie. Like, I don't know if
Especially
I
if
would
you're
watch
not
that alone.
exploiting it for sexual purposes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was like the one time
Which
I
is
watched
not
it
a way to
was-
watch that movie. No, it's not the idea. You don't want to do that.
No.
It's not the music's not helping you. I'll just put it that way. Yeah, not helping.
Not creating a moment.
No, that's a crazy ass movie. Anyway, that's not what we did though. We picked friendship movies this time. And do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I don't know.
What do you want?
I wish we should start
wanna do
flipping a coin.
flipping a coin? Oh, let's flip a coin. Let's see. I don't have a coin here. Okay, let's do. Let's do. If you win, I go first. If I win, you go first, and we'll do
Rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Did you shoot? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot?
Let's do it on shoot.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
Ready?
And rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Ooh, tie. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Damn it. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Yes.
Okay.
Maggie
So
goes
I go
first. Not that I
Wonderful.
cared.
Yeah, I know.
But either way.
It's more fun to do
I
it.
just enjoy, if you haven't noticed that, any competition is my favorite thing. I just love it.
Funny.
I'm just like that. I'd make this a
Yeah.
playlist if I could.
I know you would. I know. I
love
know
it.
you would.
Okay, so Maggie's pick
Yes.
for this
Yes.
defining friendship movie
Yes.
is Fried Green Tomatoes.
Yes. First of all, had you seen this movie? Had you heard this movie?
No, yes.
Okay.
Fried Green Tomatoes, when I was younger, was a well-known, like, I think what you would call like a chick flick. You know what I mean? Like, it was well-known.
Yes.
And,
kind of like a Beaches vibe, where it's like, yes.
It's like, it would go on that shelf.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, films for women. You know, like, that's where it would go in Blockbuster,
Right.
okay? Because I worked at a Blockbuster. So,
Did I know this?
I did. I worked at a Blockbuster for 5 years.
Must have said this before, but
From 1997 to 2002,
I'm
Adam
gonna need
Ganser
more
was wearing the blue
stories.
polo of doom of Blockbuster.
okay. Well,
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about
It'll
it.
come up.
Okay.
I
great.
definitely recommended this movie to women who
coming
came in
being
and were like,
"We
I kind of want something that just feels good.
Yeah.
And they always said thank you.
Yeah.
And I'd never watched it.
Yeah.
Never one time. Until I've watched it twice now.
What? Yeah.
I've watched it twice now for reasons we won't get into.
Nope.
But I have seen it twice. So, Maggie, do you want to summarize Fried Green Tomatoes?
Sure. So Yeah, it came out the year I was born, 1991.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
First of all, you're admitting to your age.
Yeah.
Second of all, oh my God, I always forget that you're that young. Anyway, continue.
Yeah.
You Nevermind came out and you didn't have words yet.
No, I was the baby on the cover.
So you've gone through some changes then.
Well, it is funny.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, my dad does and still does and did have great taste in music. And I have like many album covers imprinted on my memory. One of them being Diamond Dogs, which is
the David Bowie song.
Yeah. I remember asking my dad, who is this? And
he just broke into Rebel.
Yeah. My dad was like, listen. But also, Nevermind was one that he would both play.
Oh, yeah.
And
Wow. That's interesting.
I know.
My parents would never have listened to that. Anyway, they may
Both
never
my
have
parents,
listened to it.
Good taste in music.
It's possible my parents have never heard Nevermind.
I believe that.
I know they've heard a song or two,
Sure.
it's possible they've never heard that record.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Totally possible.
Wow.
Please. Fried Green Tomatoes.
Anyways, Fried Green Tomatoes. So this was a movie that I would watch with my best gal pal back then and to this day. I held her in the hospital when she was born.
Yes.
Yes.
I met her.
Yes.
She's
you met
very
her.
nice.
She's very nice. She did my best gal speech.
Maid of honor? Matron of honor.
Maid of honor.
She's not married, right?
No,
Okay,
no.
so maid
She's
of
3
honor.
years younger than me. Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't she engaged though?
No, but she has a boyfriend.
Okay.
That they will be.
Okay, got it. They're on the path.
Term. Yeah, they live together. He's great.
And he's feeling pressure now. Now that you said this on the podcast.
Oh my god.
Get your shit together. What's his name?
This is what Matt.
Hey, Matt. Clock's ticking, motherfucker.
Oh my god. Though Matt, a couple of months into then dating, Matt was like, "Wait, so Maggie May Fish?" And Molly was like, not only know, we are like soul tethered together.
I intimately know this woman.
Yeah.
Have you seen Fried Green Tomatoes?
We share a soul. We would always say, that is how close we are. We call each other sisters.
Yeah.
Our parents treated us as such.
You guys are very cute.
Yes.
Yeah, very cute.
So growing up, her mom, had a very interesting VHS collection, this included, and would just put it on and be like, you girls are exactly like these friends forever. You'll have each other's back.
So your parents described your friendship as fried green tomatoes?
Yes.
What?
Yes. I mean, less so my parents because they didn't. Later they would be much more like movie savvy, but like when we were younger, her mom, absolutely.
Her mom said that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We would watch it.
All
Yeah.
right.
As young.
And you agreed with that. You guys accepted that.
Yeah. I mean, friends that's what a friend would do. A friend would save you from someone who was treating you bad. A friend would open up a restaurant. This is a child's point of view.
They'd open up a business together. Yeah. That restaurant seems so fun, by the way.
I know.
Yeah, the whiskey. What is it? The Whistle Stop. Is that what it is?
Yeah, the Whistle Stop.
God, it seems great.
Yes.
It's like one of those. It's one of those things in a movie. You're like, man, maybe I just did it all wrong.
I know. I should just with your best friend. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So it was a very innocent, take on it. I
think so. Yeah.
I know. But even I think that is how a lot of people view it. I mean, we both grew up very Catholic. Her mom was very religious. So none of the subtext was.
So none of them understand this is a gay movie.
No, and a lot of people did not at the time. Yes,
we agree on that.
Oh yes, and it's based off a novel. And the novel is explicitly a queer relationship.
It was so clear.
Yes.
When you watch it now, it's so clear.
So clear.
Yeah, I mean, you can see why it's coded and the need for it to be coded.
Yeah, and now why it's viewed as a pinnacle. This is a queer text film, and it is and should be. But when you're a kid, and also with their own adult religious blinders, it was oh no, this is just
two sweet ladies who
two
love
sweet
each other
ladies.
so much.
Exactly. And to be fair, a lot of female friendships are that strong. They have a strong romantic,
Keep going.
I mean, yeah, that's true. A lot of young, especially younger female relationships are like that intense, like a very like almost like a romantic tinge to it. Actually, just a lot of friendships in general, but it stomped out of men pretty early.
Also, that's a thing I want to talk about too.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, to us, it was like, oh yeah, like we do like love each other, and all this seems great, and we would do this for each other. And then as we got older, we were like, I think we rewatched it. We were like in high school and middle school, and we were like, we watched this when we were children, and we were like, oh my god.
It says something about the storytelling and filmmaking that they got away with it.
Yeah.
They did get away with it.
Yeah.
Like it didn't register for people.
Oh yeah. People, I mean, like, so yeah. And then in high school you would watch it. And so it's one, very nostalgic, but two, it is also like, I mean, we have been there for each other, like through everything, and that like viciously for each other in like a wonderful way.
So in that you were referring to like fighting off the oppressive love figures. Is that what you mean by that?
Sure, but just more like the way that they are connected and like stay emotionally close to each other.
So yeah, I guess you're gonna give me some license to be a little probing.
Oh sure,
is that okay?
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
So did either of you ever connect the fact that it was like, did either of you have any sexual feelings for the other?
No,
that never happened.
It was always very sister.
Okay.
Yeah,
and so did it feel weirder to watch this movie after you realized that's what the movie was about? Like, did it reinterpret? Okay,
it made sense. I mean, because again, we were so far removed from those actual characters. It was like, it's not actually but like the way that women bond and are like there for each other. Like that still very rang true, even though like with Wise and Dies, we were like, they were in love. Okay, like that makes sense.
Pretty clearly, yeah. Pretty clearly.
And it's like, yes, we love each other, but in the way that,
but not the way they do.
Right.
Not, or in the same sense they do.
Right. But like again, like, I mean.
Sorry, it's just a neighbor I've never seen before. So I'm like, who's that? Yeah.
But yeah. So like the intensity of it always resonated with us.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. And both of us were like tomboys in a way. So both of us really liked the more like gruff character.
It's fun to watch the baseball game.
Yeah.
Like for that reason.
Absolutely. She had blonde hair. I had brown hair. I looked a little bit like.
You look a little like Mary Louise Parker.
Yeah. Her mom would say that all the time. And like, so a lot of just like the personality,
the mom putting this on you is so good.
It's so funny.
It's so
That's
good.
really what was so funny about it, especially watching it later. We were like, your mom was just like, you too.
And is she? So I know that you have some bi leanings.
Yes.
Does she?
Yes.
Any of
both
that?
Of us.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, both of us are. Yeah.
So, and that's where I wonder. That's where I wonder if like everyone sort of unconsciously perceived that about the film.
So. Well, I think
and
also
it sort of
that's
influences
why,
in some ways.
I don't know if influence, but I think why it always like made sense. It was like, oh yeah, well, both on a like, again, what we have is like this very strong, like, feminine friendship that is like deeply rooted in, just this deep care for someone. Like that resonated, but also like, oh yeah, like it would make sense for women to like each other.
Absolutely.
Right.
Of course it would.
Right. So I think unconsciously the subtext of it like made sense.
I think that's what makes it so easy to slip into.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Would you care to tell the audience what I said when I first watched this movie? Because I texted it to you. I texted it to you.
Should I look?
Yeah. Yeah, please. Please look at my first text to you about this movie. Maggie's going to enjoy this. The audience is going to enjoy me filling while she finds it. I sent this to you after about, I'm going to say 8 minutes of this movie. As soon as I saw them together in adulthood, I was like, I texted Maggie the following remark.
You and your bi movies, Maggie. No, not at all.
As soon as I watch it, I'm like, Maggie, you and your bi movies.
Yeah.
You love them so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was also in reference to like Beckham, I'm assuming, because you had to watch
I hadn't
them
watched
back to
that yet,
back.
but
Yeah. Okay.
I would not have been surprised.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
actually what I thought you were first referring to. But yeah, I mean, also, and again, like now watching it as a double adult, there's friendship woven throughout the entire thing. Like, you know,
100%.
like Kathy Bates' character.
I was going to ask you, what do you make of her story? Like, how do you feel about her story
I
ultimately?
remember when I was young, I didn't get it at all. I was kind of like, I guess this is just the framing. I guess I kind of got it in a modern woman type sense.
Yeah. It feels very much of its time now.
Yes. Now
like
it
of its
feels
late
so
80s time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And all like the diet stuff is very like, you know,
Yeah.
cringy. But like,
not unreal.
But not so real.
Just
like
cringy 'cause,
very,
like, oh, God.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But now I both get it in the way that it used to, I wouldn't even say obscure, but it was like their parallel friendship of, you know, her becoming a new woman by hanging out with this woman in a nursing home parallels the friendship of the women who were, you know, lovers in the past, but, you know, when you're watching it from a, you know, 80s, 90s point of view, it's like, oh, look at the women forming friendships throughout time.
But what's interesting about it is... What's interesting about it is the entire premise of not the premise, but the way the movie mechanically works is that Iggy, right? Isn't that the Iggy is basically the catalyst for everything except for her brother's death.
Yeah.
Her brother's death, an interesting inclusion ultimately.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like, what does that say about the rest of the story? That all of it is spun off of her brother's death. I don't know, and I think that's strange.
Yeah.
Like that's a strange beginning point,
Right,
You know, because
right.
it could have easily just been told us in backstory. So I don't know why we watched it, but that's neither here nor there. It's more that she doesn't want to wear the dress. That's really what that scene's about.
Right.
And Iggy, they keep putting people around her to make her into what they're like, and that never happens. It's always her that rubs off on them. It's never them that rubs off on her.
Yeah.
Basically everybody in her life is rubbed off on by her. You know, she's sort of this immutable force of sorts. And that I found sort of insightful. I thought there was something insightful about that.
I think also that speaks to, you know, being a woman and this movie in itself, but also just in life, you are told that you are wrong all the ways that you are. Whatever you are, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
You need to be wearing a dress. You need to be like this. And then when you are like that, no, you need to actually be like this. It is a world telling you to be something that you're not. And I think what makes this movie both something that stands the test of time and a thing that women love watching is exactly what you said. It's like, no. It was the other people that needed to change around her. She knew who she was.
Seems right.
And she just needed a person that loved her for who she was, and she needed other people to accept her for who she was instead of trying to
That's true.
put her in a dress. Yeah.
Right. She's not going to wear a dress.
Yeah.
It's just not who she is. She's not going to do it. What did you make of her relationship with a preacher? Because that seemed to be a thread all the way through. And at the end of the day, it seems like they came to peace with each other. Like, do you think that is purely symbolic?
I didn't
like,
really think too much about it,
like
actually.
patriarchy and how she sort of comes to her peace with that?
Maybe, yeah.
Or how maybe this human being that represents it comes to see her as a human being at the end?
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of nice. I mean, a little bit optimistic, but nice. You know?
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's a Kathy Bates character. Can we talk just a little more about her?
Yeah.
So I think this is like almost right after she did Misery.
Oh, wow.
So
that's
that's fascinating on its own, because she's definitely playing, and I think very successfully, this sort of withered, and I'm withered spiritually.
Yes. She's like an every woman, like a
beaten down woman, and not beaten down by cruelty.
No.
Beaten down by just the slow monotony of a disinterested husband.
Yes.
And one thing I really liked about this movie is the husband who is the antagonist in the film is more thoughtless than cruel.
Yeah.
And I think that seems right.
Right.
You know? He's just thoughtless.
Yeah.
And also presumptuous. He's presumptuous about her. And he And that's enough for this to be a real problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
It had an interesting story of, like, I guess just like they had this moment that I've seen repeated even recently in something like Bling Empire, a show that I've somehow watched, Maggie.
Wow,
I don't know.
I've seen it come up, but I have not clicked on it.
I have some friends in my church group who are Asian, a bunch of them, and so they're like, "You got to see this."
Right.
I'm like, "All right, fine." So I watched it. Anyway, but they share this one thing that you'll be surprised at. They have this scene where they look at their own vaginas, right, as a form of empowerment.
Yeah.
Bling Empire has a scene where they, like a sex therapist, has somebody sun their own anus basically to like grow empowered.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this thing?
Oh, you never.
No, I just like,
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I just like, it's this phenomenon that I find that fascinating as like this sort of other route of self-discovery that's going on. Like in various media. Do you have any comment on that, or just like
The reason it's so common, I mean, it comes up all the time because women are even in sex ed are not taught anything really about anything. They are taught to be. I mean, again,
she seems ashamed of her body.
It is.
Yeah,
And
that I've heard that before. That makes sense to me.
Yes, and it's not even just the shame. It's purely like not even knowing the mechanics of anything down there. That, and also most women are just stricken with fear about anything related to because you're pregnant, you're fucked. You know, so it's not pleasure. No. It's scary. It
makes sense.
It's the thing that people will like. I mean, I don't want to say anything terrible, but it is the thing that other people can do to you that is dangerous. And so there are no.
So this is sort of a safe place to explore it, if you will. That makes sense.
In a way that's like all those things that, have been taught and told are true, but it can also be a wonderful thing about yourself. And you've probably never looked at it. So look at it in a mirror. That's why it's
that's
such
another
a
theme.
Yeah.
You've probably never looked at it.
I mean, how many times like, oh, my you guys draw dicks on everything. That is a
we
thing.
see our penises every day, several times a day,
exactly.
at least.
And we see zero of that does not exist.
Yeah,
for women.
Well, and it doesn't. You don't visually see it when you look down.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It's
so you have to really find a reflective surface to see it.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's not. So you didn't say anything that was like, which is fine. I just was like wondering. I guess the curiosity is like, how does that relate metaphorically to the rest of this movie?
Oh, I think that
just in the
absolutely fits. I mean, the idea of there is nothing wrong with you. It is the terrible. It's the thing that
it's
people
the internalized things.
Yeah, the internalized, the things that people have told you to believe about yourself.
Okay.
That when every kid, a girl is like, whatever years old, no, they're not ashamed of it. They just be, and until they are told over and over again that don't just be. Actually, that's a terrible thing, and actually, that's you can is suddenly there are so many terrible things attached to it that suddenly when you're Kathy Bates at however many years, so looking at it is like a huge step in shrugging that off.
It makes sense to me. So now I'm going to bring up one last metaphor that I had interpretation of this, but I'm just more interested in hearing yours than mine, because I know what I think. So, what do you make of Iggy's ability to never be stung by bees? I
mean, I think that's the same thing, really.
Yeah,
to not be,
I do too.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of an unexpected metaphor.
Yeah. Opposite of my girl.
Well, and also opposite of how it goes for basically every other woman in the story.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, in a way, Iggy's sort of magic. Like I think that's what I am driving at, and not in a bad way. Like,
right.
In just it's nice to see it.
It's a magical. You know what I mean? The other reason I always love this story is like there's a little bit of magical realism in it, like a very
and it surrounds her.
Yeah,
she's almost a tall tale character.
Yeah, which is like a fun element to see.
Like a Calamity Jane or like a Paul Bunyan.
In like an
almost.
80s, but like with Kathy, it's like such a fun, odd combination.
It's from way before that though. Like this, like they're like most of this movie takes place in like the 30s, I want to say, or like
between
the 20s.
World War I and World War II.
Yeah. It feels like it's in the same year the whole time, by the way, which is, but whatever.
Yeah.
It feels like they're the same age and it's at the same time for about 20 years. It's like, did anything change? What happened here? But it's a small town.
Just hanging out, eating fried green
I
tomatoes.
liked this. I liked it a lot. I thought it was a really sweet movie. I wouldn't have liked it 15 years ago, so I'm glad I waited till now to see it. When it's just a nice story.
Yeah.
And it's a little ahead of its time in as much as certainly the queer coding stuff, right? Like that stuff's ahead of its time.
Yeah.
But I think like the story finds multiple empathy points.
Yeah.
And they're all really good.
Yeah.
And they're not done in this saccharine melodramatic way.
Yeah, there's multiple, like there's so many characters that are like,
And but they show that really the problem is the same for all these people, which is none of them are immune from being stung by the social structures that exist.
Yeah.
Even the black gentleman.
Yeah.
Or his mother.
Yes.
Who are wonderful characters. They don't get too much time on screen, but they're good. And there's a reason that they all stop at the whistle stop, right? And it's nice, and this is not a new idea.
Yeah.
But it's really good.
Yeah.
It's really heartwarming, and I think it shows the power of empathy and also just lives unfettered by trying to live up to something that's crushing you. I see that. I see the joy of that. It's nice.
Yeah.
It really is. I really liked it a lot. I really liked it. I also thought that it would have been fine if you had showed up here and said, I didn't see this as queer coded at all. It's really just a friendship.
Kid. Yeah.
And anybody who did say that, I also would accept that from them.
Yeah.
In as far as I think it is an idealistic movie about friendship. Like it's not about like breaking through and being honest about your sexuality.
Right,
it's about that reality undergirding a friendship.
Right. It's about being there for someone. Yeah.
And I like that.
Absolutely.
But it had that in it, and it should have been there.
Yeah.
Because it sort of created the circumstances that allowed these two women to have this friendship. And I was just so bummed by the fact that she died young of cancer.
I know.
It was like, man, really?
I know that, and I didn't see Beaches until like I was a teenager, and I was like,
they're always sad, man.
God,
they're always sad. I think it's one of those like we live free for a little while, but at the end, the bee stings us.
Right. Well, and also it's like what gives the, it's that what gives the joy is also that it wasn't, that it
was only for a little while.
Yeah. Which is sad. But I also, as a kid,
that's the thing a lot of people think.
Oh, that's the grown up part of it.
That's the good part of it, though.
When people die.
No, the part that's like that is contemplating what it meant.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I think that matters.
Oh yeah.
Like
I think that's what this movie is a contemplation of what that relationship meant.
Absolutely.
For
for everyone.
Yeah.
In that town.
Yeah.
Once that relationship was gone, the town was gone.
Yeah.
Like that friendship made everybody there thrive. That's why they have that guy who's an alcoholic, the way they treat him. Again, it's Iggy, by the way. She's sort of like a mini Jesus, and that's on purpose, it's like, that's nice, that there is something there, there's a reason we're captivated by that,
community, man.
And also empathy is both ultimately human and also superhuman, and I think you see both aspects of that in Iggy's character, that's why she feels like a tall tale.
Yeah.
But she's also a person, and that matters. Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah.
Good pick.
Thank you.
Good pick. You want to transition now to Yeah.
Okay.
So we didn't summarize that movie very well. I feel bad about that.
No, I think it's fine. I think it's this. I'm not good at summaries, but also it's my least. It's the one I'm least interested. No, it's like I'm least interested in it. So to me, it's like
I think the podcast audience does need it.
That's that's true.
It's too late now,
yes,
but
it's too late. But you can read the Wikipedia article, and you can also watch the movie.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who are interested in it but didn't hear a summary, just know that it takes place in the 80s, but it's retelling a story in the 30s about these two women.
Kathy Bates befriends an
older woman at a retirement community.
Yes.
And this old woman tells the tale of these two friends.
Yes.
Iggy and the other lady's name who fell out of my head.
Right.
And just the life they went through together. And that's really all it is.
That's all it is.
Yeah, it's great.
And Kathy Bates learns from it and becomes a new woman.
I kind of miss these movies. I wish they were making more of these movies.
Me too.
It was really good.
Yes.
And
it's
also,
nice. Yeah. I mean, especially as young, it's like so important to see people being themselves, like whatever that means.
I mean, I think just some sense of optimism about human connection would be nice.
Yeah.
We could use that, man.
And also,
we could use that.
Like, Molly and I are still best friends to this day.
Right.
Like,
I don't know that we need more of what's that HBO kids show that everybody loves to...
What show?
It's the one with... It's the one with all the sex in it, and like it just.
Euphoria. I know.
Euphoria. I've watched it. I do like it.
But
man, it's such a mean show.
And also,
it's so dark.
Yeah, and it's not at all. My experience was at all.
I'm trying to figure out whose experience that is, but all good.
But some people,
some prep school kids in Santa Monica, maybe. I don't know. It feels very. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't need to shit on Euphoria. It's all good.
No. I agree. I
like it a lot.
Yeah,
but
I think it's much braver to not be cynical, and cynical is like easy
especially
to
now.
sell. Oh my god, yeah.
And
it's
so
easy.
I'm fully aware of the hypocrisy of me saying that, and yet my opinion on the new Arcade Fire record that you'll hear at some point.
No, but I mean, just in general, we are, I think, and also the generation under us is not at all cynical, so I don't understand why we're still greenlighting projects.
They're young still.
I know, but that's why they're uncynical.
Yeah.
But they're consciously... They know what's going on. They're very tapped in,
sure.
but
they're not. They're
a SpongeBob. I describe. It's like SpongeBob was very aware of the material conditions. He's ready.
Yeah, we're in tough times, but also, history moves in cycles and stuff. And so anyway. Forrest Gump was my pick. Oh my
God, this is fascinating.
You want me to do a brief? You want to do a summary? You want to do the summary just for fun?
Okay,
just because I know you hate it. Please.
Summary of
I'm excited.
My summary of Forrest Gump is that one time I was on mushrooms at a Bubba Gum Shrimp, and I don't think people fully realize how in universe a Bubba Gum Shrimp is. Have you been to a Bubba Gum Shrimp?
It's all trivia about Forrest Gump.
Not only trivia, but it's like Tom Hanks' face superimposed upon a Vietnam veteran's face.
It's
in
weird.
The bathroom.
It's weird. I agree.
It's wild. And being on mushrooms, I think, just added a whole nother layer. So
that's amazing.
That's my
Forrest Gump
summary.
Amazing. Thank you for that factoid. Forrest Gump is a movie. It was made in 1994. If you haven't seen it, here's a brief summary. It's the story of a young man named Forrest Gump. It follows him from his childhood basically until he's about 40.
Jenny.
And Forrest Gump is mentally disabled.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
To say? So, and by that I mean his intelligence is below below like school admittance IQ.
Right.
And so he's as he described, not a smart man.
Yeah.
And he accidentally has this extraordinary life where he ends up being a part of almost every major cultural event from 1955 to 1985, basically. Yeah. And so he has tons of funny, iconic interactions with famous people of that time, like John Lennon and JFK, and that's all fake. So it's sort of poking fun at the boomers, childhood.
Yeah,
that's what it's
there.
going. Yeah, it's poking fun at that, and it's a story of, I think, this man ultimately trying to find a real family. Like that's what he's really doing. Like he's sort of drifting through life, trying to find a real family and be an honorable man, and has this massive unintended impact on everyone around him, and is himself only somewhat aware of the impact that he has. But I think by the end, you can see that he's become wiser. Like he's become a sort of wiser, more thoughtful person. If you haven't seen the movie, he has basically three big relationships.
Yeah.
He has a relationship with his mother, who is sort of an authority figure that he listens to and follows her to the word.
Yeah.
And it's really great.
Played by Sally Field.
She's great in this role. He has Jenny, who is played by Robin Wright. Who, I think it was Robin Wright Penn at the time, but Robin Wright. It's one of her most iconic roles. And she is a woman who grows up in a broken and an abusive home, and it sort of haunts her whole life. And she falls into drugs and falls into party life, and gets herself into trouble. And Forrest loves her and would do anything for her, but she can't bear that. And so she and he meet at times, and so that's their relationship. And finally, he has a relationship with Lieutenant Dan, who is his commanding officer in the war, and he goes to Vietnam, and he saves Lieutenant Dan from death. And Lieutenant Dan hates him for it because Lieutenant Dan wanted to die, thought it was his destiny to die in the war. And Forrest Gump sort of accidentally gives him this new lease on life that it takes this man 20 years to accept. And there's other relationships that matter, like Bubba is another relationship that really matters.
Which, not to go back to my restaurant,
No,
but
it's okay.
Bubba is erased from...
Bummer. He's not in the movie that much.
Yeah.
But that's a bummer.
He's definitely not at the restaurant. That was when we were high on mushrooms.
Maybe
we
he
were
didn't
like,
sign off on it. That sucks, though.
Conspiracy. I mean, it's purely that he's, they
think he
the
mattered?
Yeah. They think he doesn't
That's
matter.
strange. Okay.
Yeah.
Sucks.
I know.
That sucks.
I know.
I'm gonna hope that it's because the guy wouldn't sign off on his image. I'm gonna hope that.
I
I'm gonna hope
as
that's
well.
why.
I hope
because
so.
he also wasn't really in movies after that either, and that's weird. And I didn't look into it, but okay. Anyway, that sucks. Because he was good in this.
Yeah, and it's also Bubba Gump. It's literally
Right, it's his
him.
name.
I know. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Anyways, I digress.
Yeah. So that's Forrest Gump. We've both seen this. How many times have you seen it?
Oh, million.
Yeah, I've seen this at least 10 times.
It's on
Yeah.
TV all the time.
I don't know what drove me to
growing
it this time.
I don't know either.
It was on, and I was like, I haven't seen that movie in like 15 years. And it's interesting to watch it now, having so much frustration with the boomer culture, and still think this is a wonderful movie. Like, I think it's a wonderful movie, but I don't care about the boomer piece of it. That part, I don't like the 60s and all that. Like that stuff, I don't care. But Forrest Gump and his relationships really moved me this time. I found it really moving, partly because of nostalgia. But yeah, I just thought like, what an interesting tale of life this guy has. And he basically has one superpower, and that is running. Yeah. And anytime he gets into any serious trouble, he runs. Yeah. And running always saves him. Yeah. And that's a very film convention. Yeah. But it's really well done here. Including the time when he goes on a 2-year run, that is really good. Like it's dumb and apocryphal, but it's also
probably my
like
favorite turn in the movie where he starts running.
Because
it's like
all is lost.
Yeah,
that's his all is lost moment.
Yeah,
it's classic film screenplay. Like that leads us to the third act. Yeah, it's really good, and also this is where my like sort of patriotic American comes in. You see the country. Like you see this amazing country we live in, and that's really neat. You know what I mean? Like you don't get to see that much in movies. Yeah. Because most movies take place in a city or they take place in a cool locale. Yeah. This movie is like looking at America, and I'm just a little nostalgic these days and a little sad because of the way things are. It was nice to see it. I thought, that part. It was just nice to like, man, look at those lakes and look at just see the country. It's cool. Yeah. I'm old. That's why. Old and nostalgic. I'm sorry, those of you who are 20, you vomited immediately when I said that.
I mean, I love.
Yeah. What were your impressions watching it this time?
I loved this movie as a kid. I loved it, and I always especially loved Jenny.
Of course.
I mean, who wouldn't, doesn't? Yeah, I always loved Jen. I remember the first time watching it and being like inconsolable.
Yeah, she's the heart and soul of the movie.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, the heart and soul. Just
absolutely
like
devastating story.
devastating. And so like, and you know, all those feelings were there. Like, you know, all the emotion, you know, was still there. Just, have you ever read the book?
Nope, I wouldn't want to.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to.
No.
Growing up, so, you know, again, my dad became our, you know, we would watch movies together all the time, Forrest Gump being in the rotation. My dad read the book, and my dad one day was like, you know, in the book, Forrest Gump is a really like mean person.
Yes, I've heard that. I don't want that. That's not interesting.
Yes, we don't want it. But also adding that element, and, you know, I'd read excerpts of, you know, what my dad was reading. It makes a lot more sense, actually, as a story when he
of course.
is a mean person. I'm like, okay, now this all makes sense. Like, why actually everything happens. It's almost
right,
like
this is magic. The whole thing's magic.
Yeah. It's like the missing piece that makes it, what makes it make so much sense in the book, which is not a fun read. My dad did not like what he was like, do not read this. It's not even good, even if it makes more an emotional sense why everything happens. But
it's interesting that you feel that way. I like the magical realism of Forrest Gump.
Oh, I like it too.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
But
that I think that's what made everybody like the movie.
Yes.
Was that it was magic.
yes,
You know,
it was,
like,
yeah.
and it was a dream we all liked hearing.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think what separates it from me as I get older is that Forrest Gump is just, it's, you know, he's an unrelatable person.
Oh, 100%.
He's not you know, it's like.
Oh no, I think that's where you're wrong. But
Well, he is a person, but he's not. Even like the way they describe his like unintelligence, like that isn't how. That is not how that has manifested for anyone that I know.
I think it would have been interesting if he had had Down syndrome.
It would. I mean,
Like, you know what I mean?
it would
Like that might have tied him
right,
together more.
Although that kind of runs the risk of like the magical person.
But they're
yes.
already there, right?
I
Like,
mean, yeah,
it makes it
yeah.
worse. I agree.
Yeah.
But it would make him be a real person that's identifiable in the world.
Yes.
But I don't think. I think this movie is in the same genre as like Amadeus or like or a Charlie Chaplin film where the main character is is magic and infuriating because they're magic.
I don't find it infuriating.
I mean, infuriating for the normal people in the world.
Yeah.
That's
It's a SpongeBob.
Yes. And that's kind of the genre it is.
Yeah.
I guess I'm arguing with you. I don't need to argue with you. I'm just saying that's how I've always interpreted Forrest Gump.
I interpret it that way as well. It just, for me, for like a friendship movie, it's harder to be like, yes, that's it, because that's not any, like no friendship.
You object to it as an example. I get it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, makes sense.
It particularly baffled me as a friendship movie specifically because I mean, him and Lieutenant, like, sure, in the movie they're friends, but he is a magical being, so that friendship isn't in. It's, you know, like, what is that emblematic of? And to me, I mean, again, I don't think it would be, I don't want this movie to exist where he's mean, but it adds something where like he's more of a recognizable person. So when he's a friends with someone, it's like, oh, that friendship I've seen. I've seen that and I know that. And I know people like that. Whereas this, with him being, you know, and again, I don't want to change anything about the movie because I like the movie the way it is and I like the magical realism of it. But, you know, like even the love between Jenny and him, it's like, yes, this is very wonderful, but also not it's
Not
relatable in any.
It's interesting you say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not so much interested in Forrest's love so much.
Right.
I'm interested in the way his friendship changed every one of the people in his life. That is interesting to me. Like, for instance, we know that he loves Jenny, right?
Yeah.
He never one time ever asks Jenny for anything.
Right.
And the thing that he loves about her is not that it's not her. It's not her as an object. It's her as a friend. His love for her is almost entirely friendship. And it's her that makes that relationship sexual because that's how she knows how to have intimacy with somebody because of how she was raised. You know what I mean? And so there's something, like, yeah, it's not a real person. That's true.
Yeah.
But I think that as an exploration of what is it like when somebody just accepts you and loves you for what you are, which he does for all of his friends. He accepts them exactly as they are, asks nothing of them. And it's really hard for them to accept that. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Like, Jenny can't take it. Her whole life is spent running from it. They have that line in it, right? Like, like, where are you running off to? I'm not running, but she was. Right? But she was running.
Right.
And it was only when she finally accepted that love that she healed. Like, that she was able to actually heal. And it was too late for her, and which is terrible. And Lieutenant Dan is, I think, my favorite part because it chokes me up just thinking about him. He had such a strong idea about what his life's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And he couldn't give it up. Just couldn't give it up. And into his life comes a person who dragged him out of that for his own good. And he hates him because of his ego. Like, his ego can't let it go. And yet being loved that much is Lieutenant Dan can't bear to let it totally go. Every time, like, it's always Lieutenant Dan coming back to Forrest. Doesn't respect him.
Right.
But he loves him. Like, he comes back. It's always him. Like, they gave you a Congressional Medal of Honor, you idiot. But he's waiting outside for him, outside of a TV studio. Or he's the one that somehow got himself all the way down to the bayou to be his partner.
Right.
Because he needed the thing that he hated, which is a friend to pull him out of his ego. And that's what Forrest Gump does. Forrest Gump is like a case study of humility for him as a friend. And it's not so much that, their relationship is recognizable. It's the impact of friendship is so fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, the way that it heals them.
Yeah.
The way that in Lieutenant Dan's case, he's able to get new legs. Because Forrest Gump provided friendship for him. Like, that's really all.
Yeah.
And then the Bubba story is, the most brutal one. Because I think they're the same. You know what I mean? I think in some ways Bubba is like the tragic version of Forrest's life. The way Forrest's life could have gone. Yeah. And I think his commitment to, like, seeing that through is very sweet and also very dumb and magic. But I just think their friendship is interesting insofar as it was comforting when it needed to be through a terrible circumstance. And that was sort of beautiful to me. Like, just the way they describe his death, it's just, where, like, he says, like, Bubba was going to be a shrimp boat captain and all that stuff. Instead, he died right there by that river. And it's like, and then he says, Forrest, why'd this happen? And you're like, fuck, terrible,
Yeah.
And I've seen lots of movies render friendship and it's really cool. And I've seen movies I liked where I liked the relationship, but I find something truer about friendship in this movie in that I think friendship is more easily to measure. It's easier to measure whether it matters by the impact that you're having on other people.
Sure. I will say that, like, Yes, but all this requires Forrest Gump to not respond in any sort of recognizable way.
Well, I think it's recognizable.
It's recognizable,
Sure.
but it is not. It requires him to put up with Lieutenant Dan's shit for years and years and years.
That's what a lot of friendships are.
That's not, to me, that is not a friendship. That is a one-sided affair.
All I can say is, I can tell you that I do recognize it. I do recognize it.
Yeah.
I know this story.
Yeah.
I've seen it in a lot of people's lives. I've seen it in my life. One interesting thing about it is how these people, there's a lot of friendships that come and go. Which is a thing that's true of a lot of friendships, where like there's seasons where you don't see them, you don't talk to them, life moves on, and then something happens in their life, and they come back, and you re-engage in them, and really they're working out this thing, you know, like so it's not a convincing friendship in the sense that it's not watching these two people have a great time or like relate so well to each other, but it is. In so much as it gets to some of the underlying stuff that's going on in friendship, which is that it's people needing a place to work out these like curses they live with, you know what I mean? Like, and these things they've learned that aren't right, and also to celebrate the things that make them so great. And I think that's what's so cool about Forrest Gump is that he is a mirror by accident, and because it's by accident, none of them ever feel preached to, and the effects of it are so palpable, and they feel very real to me. Like Lieutenant Dan's change feels very real to me. You know, Jenny's change feels very real to me. I know Jenny so well. I've met so many people like that. I can list 10 off the top of my head, and I've had that relationship. They come in for a little while, they leave. You know, and it's because they got to do what they got to do. They got to go out in the world and do their thing and chase this thing. Also, I've had the Lieutenant Dans. I know these people. They make sense to me. I don't know. Maybe most people don't have that, but I think that there's something great about having the kind of relationship with somebody that's welcoming enough that these people find a safe haven. You know, and I like that's what Greenbow is.
You like being a safe haven for people.
It's a thing I do all the time.
Yes, yeah.
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
That's why it makes sense to me. I'm
I
like,
know.
I've been Greenbow, Alabama.
Yeah.
I've been the house where people come and stay for a little while. You know, like the whole thing's a metaphor for this. Like it's a hotel for friendship. That's the whole movie, and it does make sense to me. You know, not him, but. Him as an impact. Yeah. It makes sense.
And like like you said, the effect of it is the beautiful thing about the friendship of how it preserves the good things about people and heals.
Absolutely. There's only really one great scene where Forrest pushes back. There's only one.
I may not know what love is.
Yes, but that scene
so good.
Crushes. Because he's right. And it's the only time he's ever looked there and said, I know what you're doing to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's enough. It's enough for her to be like, what am I doing? You know? I think that's the power of a gentle word in somebody's life. Like if you've got credibility with somebody and they're exploiting you, and that happens. In relationships, it happens. And you have that kind of credibility where you can look at them and say, I know what love is. You know? That's no punch in the face could hurt more. You know?
It's interesting because I think you described the relationship in Fried Green Tomatoes as like idealistic, whereas to me...
These are both idealistic.
I know.
100%.
Well, I mean, less so. To me, because the friendship in Fried Green Tomatoes is so recognizable, I don't actually really consider it that idealistic.
I think it's idealistic because Iggy is magic.
Sure.
You know?
Okay, yeah.
And I think Forrest Gump is magic, but more in a thought experiment way than Iggy is.
Right,
Iggy's not a thought experiment.
Right.
She's a person.
Yeah.
Forrest Gump is an idea. You know?
Yeah.
But that's what's so cool about it. Yeah. And also, I was like really trying hard not to pick something that you would expect.
I did.
Like I'm always playing games with Maggie. I'm trying to figure out.
I was like,
I would be bored if I had brought Sandlot. I said Sandlot before.
Well,
but
sure, yeah. And to me, that doesn't. I mean, I understand for some people,
a lot of great shit in there about friendship.
Yeah.
I would have been bored if I had brought Another one I thought about was Harry Met Sally.
Oh, sure.
Because I think they do have a real friendship.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
You know, and that's what's so cool about it.
Yeah.
You know, even though it's a love story.
Yeah.
They have a real friendship. But I think we both know what that is. You know, like I want something where we don't know what it is. Like we have to like really think about what it means. I get excited about that. You know,
I think, well, and also like, I mean, I'm a person that I have had friends that absolutely just take and take and take and take and take, and it is not healthy.
No, it's not.
No. And so, but to me, like when I'm watching this, it is like bringing up the memories of all the times I was there for someone that they didn't give a shit and how it meant nothing and there was no wonderful end conclusion. And sure, maybe I had an impact on their life, but it served me none other than I know myself better after.
Most of my friends are selfish, right?
It's wild.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. I don't think it is. I think that...
I mean, I understand it, but I
think I think most relationships have a degree of selfishness, obviously. But like, I've had a lot of selfish friends. Lots and lots and lots. And I don't regret any of them. Because like, you know, like at the end of the day, that's a thing they're working out. It's not my thing. That's what they're working out. Like Forrest Gump's not responsible for Jenny. And he's not responsible for Lieutenant Dan. You know, like they're responsible for themselves. And like, I think the beauty of it is that sometimes if you give them that kind of place, they heal. Not always, but they can. And I find that so hopeful. I find that so inspiring, perhaps naive, but hopeful. Because, you know, there's people who've drifted in and out of my life that I'm like, I don't know what happened to them, and I hope they're okay. And I've had people who, frankly, I was tired of them, and then they came back years later, and they were like, I can't tell you what it meant to me that you did all this. You know? And also, I've been Lieutenant Dan to friends. I've been that guy. I was Lieutenant Dan to a friend of mine named Jeremy, and you know, when I got kicked out of the church, I was in a pretty dark place.
Yeah.
You know, and like he gave me a good year and a half, 2 years. You know, and then our ways parted, and I think there's something like that in friendship, or maybe I've experienced a lot of that. I don't know, but I know that it's not a thing I know how to change, and I don't need to fight it.
Yeah.
You know?
No.
I think you just have to trust that there's some hope for them out there, and that perhaps when they come back, you know, it'll be better. You know, not to say it's an excuse to,
but I do hope.
Well, I think yours wasn't.
No.
How many times did they come back?
One big one. Zero change, and almost worse.
Sometimes they are.
Yeah. But all to say, again, I have been very lucky that most of my friendships have been very my best. Everyone who was in my wedding, you know, we met day one in college, and it is very close familial type, you know, network that we have. And I do have friends that come in and out, but for the most part, you know, I would say they're very static.
Your friend, I've never had a static group of friends.
Wow.
Never. My whole life.
Wow.
Never.
Wow.
Never. Wow. I've hung out with different groups of friends every 3 to 5 years since I was a child.
What? That is, I'm sure that's very normal to just from my life experience.
Maybe that's why you don't. Maybe that's why Forrest Gump seems so unrecognizable to you.
I'm sure.
To me, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. I know what it's like to run into Lieutenant Dan 10 years later.
Yeah.
You know, and then want some of my time, and you know, and to feel like I'm going to give it to him.
Wow.
You know, not just for old time's sake, but just, you know, because I love this person. Because abuse is one thing, but some people, they just don't have a lot to offer, right? Or they're not in a place where they have a lot to offer, right? And I don't want those people to get turned away because I don't get something out of it. I want those people to have a place to go, you know? And sometimes you have to be honest about how much of that can you handle.
Yeah.
And sometimes that leads to conflict, you know?
For me, it has been I used to be a person that was like that, friends with anyone and everyone. It come and go, you know. And it took this relationship and several years of therapy to be in the place that I am now, which is, now I understand, you know, what I deserve out of a friendship.
Which is what?
Like basic human decency and
sure,
and care.
Sure,
consideration.
What's care
mean? Just not like you said. You have a lot of selfish friends.
Tons.
I used to have many, and I can't now. I for my own sake, I can't be friends with people that will always put themselves first, no matter what, and I get thrown under the bus.
Why?
Because that's not fair to me, and I know what I deserve to be happy and whole.
It's hard to argue with a maxim like that because it makes sense. But I also, but I guess how would I put this? Yeah, no, you're right about that, of course. But also, like, do you ever befriend people who need your help?
Yeah.
And what
if they ask for my help,
which,
then I
of course
give it to them, of course.
I mean, I'm not out here offering
friends.
right.
But if someone asks for my help and then they say that I'm an awful person because I didn't do it the exact way that they wanted, and then
nobody says that that's a thing you should put up with, right? Like that's not what happened in Forrest Gump. You know?
No, but I mean, you know, how much realistically, because Forrest Gump isn't a real, that's the like thing, because Forrest Gump isn't a real person,
but we're talking
how
about
much Lieutenant
selfish friends.
Dan, yeah.
We're talking about selfish friends.
Sure.
Does Jenny, do you think Jenny behaves super badly to Forrest Gump? Like that she's shitty to him?
No.
Okay.
But I think,
because sometimes she kind of is. Like almost every time she leaves in a way that strands him, or in a way that sort of undervalues him.
I'm saying if Forrest Gump was a more realistic portrayal of a person,
okay,
like I think that there would be a lot more ish there that would not, you know.
Well, I can't undo the metaphor, so that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah. I guess that's what makes it hard for me to
connect to it. I think it might be that, but it also might be that I think a lot of people expect you're gonna expect that the friendship has to meet my emotional needs, whatever those are, right? Like,
right. Or it's like, here's the thing. I know that I will always put them before myself. If they are my friend, I'm very loyal, and I would do anything for them. So that's dangerous for me to be then friends with someone that I will never get that in return, because then
who are those people that give it to you in return?
All of my friends now.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Great.
Yes. Like, what is friendship to me? It is the other person who will be there for you, who, doing the thing, because I put other people before myself. It's the person that, is making sure that, is
That's
being
good.
there for me.
That's great.
And I love, I have great, not I'm bragging again, but I have wonderful, great, beautiful friendships that like fill me. So like, it's the reason to, I love them so much. And like many of them moved to LA, so I see them all the time. They're not at all in the business besides like one or two of them.
That's great.
But we it feels like family. That's what he's searching for the entire movie.
It's family.
Is what we have. Yeah, we have a family. And we are there for each other in very like hard moments in our life. We have been there for each other. And I'm crying, but like it's
great.
true.
I mean,
and like
I envy you. That's not been my experience.
Yeah.
That's not been my experience. Sometimes, I mean, but not for long, and not often.
Yeah.
Occasionally, and for short bouts, I've experienced that. But for the most part, people come and go. That's life.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I come and go. That's also life.
Yeah.
You know. I don't know. Maybe you. Some people are lucky like that. Like my brother has friends like that. I've just never had those friends. You know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't push them out the door, but they don't. But the universe rewards you all differently, right? We all get different things. That's not one thing that's come my way.
Well, you got a friend in me, Adam.
And then we started singing for an hour, and I cut it out. No, but for real, and don't feel sad for me. It's not that.
I don't.
Yeah, you
Will's
should.
very similar. When Will first met my friends, he was like, and I was like,
yeah, I just don't think that's I mean, I guess I don't want to minimize the value of that.
Well, to me, it's like watching, like you said, it's the thing that Forrest is searching for. So if he's searching for it, it exists. And
sure, I agree that it exists.
Yeah.
I didn't say it didn't exist.
Oh no, I don't want to put in it. Yeah.
But I also am. But you also have to acknowledge that some things aren't going to be. You know, like that they won't.
Yeah.
And that is not a thing that I expect out of life now. You know, if I get it, great, but I don't expect it. I mean, you know, like I mean, I'm in LA and trying to be in entertainment. This is where we're gonna find these lifelong,
I made all these
lifelong
before
pals.
I moved here. Yeah.
It's not that everybody in LA sucks either. It's just that everybody here is self-involved about their reason to be here,
right? Or just pulled a million directions. Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that's okay. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe that's a sad story. I'm not sure.
I don't think it's sad.
I kind of like the idea of knowing that friendships come and go, like in a very like, just they exist for a season. Sometimes they return, sometimes they don't, and you just don't know how the butterfly effect of who you are to them. I like that. That has made some of the negative experiences I've had in life matter, and also made some of the good ones that were fleeting more meaningful to me. Perhaps it's a little existentialist of me. I'm not sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have any more producers to thank, Maggie.
No, I guess not.
So I guess maybe we're done. Are we done?
I guess we're done.
It's been an hour and 20 minutes. I think we're done, Maggie. That's it for us. I think that's it for us. So, you know, write in to Maggie and let her know how lucky she is to have all these lifelong self-sacrificing friends.
I am lucky.
Look, some people don't have. Some people they have that their whole life. But like like for instance, my sister and I are the same in that like we just kind of wander through life. We don't. Those people don't exist.
Yeah.
And my brother, the opposite. You know, like he's had the same friends for 15, 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
His group of friends is really cool.
Yeah. Everyone's different. That's the also other thing. Like.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Farewell, my Isme heads.
All right.
Ismeites.
You asked like a question, but you said it like you
with
wanted
some
it.
convention. Till next time, friends. See you around.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been a Small Beans endeavor. We're a bunch of pals who make podcasts, sketches, music, web series, and movies. The Beans always have new ideas percolating, so make sure to check us out at patreon.com/smallbeans. That's patreon.com/smallbeans, where you can browse all of our current and past content, see what we've got planned in the future, and learn how your support can help the small beans grow into huge, giant monster beans. If you enjoyed this content module, please like, rate, subscribe, or tell a friend about us. We love you!